Aloha, y'all. Daniel Aaron with you. And one of the more controversial pieces that Veeresh used to do, this was before I met him, he would advertise his events, his workshops, his programs with enlightenment guaranteed. All right. And then once people arrived, he would explain what he meant by enlightenment. And it was not, by the way, any kind of bait and switch or anything like that. This, by the way, me sharing with you right now is me honoring, thanking with such reverence and gratitude some of my teachers, coaches, and mentors. And today it's Veeresh is his name. Denny Husin or something like that. I don't remember his original name. And the reason I'm doing this series right now, and if you like this, there are more you can find easily, and I'm doing more, is because I recently came out of the closet and have started using the title, which was bestowed upon me 31 years ago when I was ordained as a minister. And I'm hesitating. So I'm like, well, and the reason for that is I'm about to give you the reason, and I can do that, though. The reason is because Spirit reminded me, suggested it, encouraged it. It came up in a whole bunch of different synchronicity ways. Have you had that feeling like where you know to do something, yet you don't quite know why? Oh, that's a perfect segue. So, Veeresh, he was a heroin addict for 14 years, originally from Puerto Rico, lived in New York City for a long time. 14 years is a really long time to be a heroin addict. Most people don't survive that long, right? They either overdose or just die from some other means. He was in and out of rehab a bunch of times. He finally got himself clean through the, at the time, experimental new Phoenix House, a addiction recovery program run by recovered addicts. Brilliant. So later, part of what Veeresh created in Holland is a place called Humaniversity, and as Human University, which is a great title because it was actually a university, accredited university. It was also a place for people like me who were personal and spiritual growth junkies. And I heard about it. I was like, oh, very intense programs there. I was like, I'm in. I knew almost nothing when I went there. And it was an extremely effective addiction recovery center. And now I think I use the past tense because Veeresh is no longer in his body. However, the place and his legacy continues. And what does it mean to be enlightened? Why is the title of this video, why ego is compatible? And I remember this so clearly. This was a while into my experience with Humaniversity. I was living there, and Veeresh was giving, you can call it a Dharma talk. He was talking to us, the group of people that was there, and somebody said, is a question about ego. And he said, there's nothing wrong with having ego. And he pointed out that for himself, he loves the feeling of being like a rock star. And he comes on to lead these big events, and sometimes there were hundreds of people in his events, and he loves that energy and that attention, right? There's nothing wrong with that, was his point, if one remembers the purpose. The greater purpose is the service to others. And in fact, we could take it a step further and say, without a strongly developed ego, without a sense of solidity in who the person is that's supporting, helping, coaching, teaching, right? As soon as there is resistance or pushback or challenge, right? The way David Data says, I want to give my gift to the world. Well, the world's not very likely to say, okay, wonderful, here's your gift. Thank you so much for that. No, the gift that's worth giving on some level, right? Especially in my line of work and life focus, it's transformation, right? There is a part of all of us that resists transformation, that wants to stay comfortable. So if we're offering something that will potentially change someone's life for the better, it's very likely that part of the response or the initial response will be, I don't want it. And the negative projections that can happen for all of us when we are in the student or client role, like it's uncomfortable. Ooh, I don't like this feeling. Let me throw that out onto the person who's leading this, the person who it seems like is causing it. So, gotta have a strong sense of self, right? And yes, of course, if the ego is running the show, and if we are on stage or developing a practice, whatever the form is, if we're doing that to feed our ego, to get approval, right? And I'll put my hands up because certainly there have been times in my life where I did that, right? That's part of the learning journey for all of us that are in the supporting or people encouragement or helping or therapeutic or coaching professions. That's part of the journey, is to learn that. So we got to have the strong sense of self. Call it ego if you want. We could get into the semantics. And yes, if that part is running the show, if we're doing it to get the approval, that's problematic. However, if our intention, our motivation is to be of service, to help, to support people and transforming into their highest potential, perfect. We need some ego. The ego is useful. I could say more about Veeresh and this topic. I think I'll leave it there, though, because I'm also curious. What's your experience? What's your feeling about ego and encouraging people, helping people, transformation? Are they compatible? Do you think I'm crazy with this? What am I missing? What are you seeing? What's your experience? And if you would like some support with creating what you want in your life, I would be honored to meet you. I'd love to have a conversation and support you with that. So feel free to send me an email, daniel@danielaaron.com. Feel free to comment below. Thoughts, questions, comments. Awesome. I look forward to reading it. And you are a superhero of awesomeness. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love that you are interested in this. I love you. I send you oodles.